article online and I wanted to talk about it. I also haven't read it, but the heading was catchy. And before I get started, I kind of understand where this is coming from. Artificial love, like robot sex dolls, and trying to replicate like the feeling of vagina. You already start with the fleshlights, right? Trying to sort of like replace that kind of or supplement that intimacy that a lot of people have. And let's be real, a lot of us don't have the social skills or the looks, or we're probably on the autistic spectrum, and none of us want to be able to admit it. And before you start hating on me, let's be real. It's not just that the people are autistic or anything like that. It's the fact that they're not gonna read cues. They're not gonna know. They're not gonna notice cues. So very likely they're gonna be lazy. And a lot of people who are on the spectrum prefer to be alone, and it's gonna be very hard for them to find people. Anyways, with that out of the way, with some people being offended, let's get this conversation started. So this article, it's those tabs when you open and then it popped here. The when your lover is a bot. I like to read these every now and then just to like venture and see if it's any good. Okay, definitely no. When your lover is a bot, December 2024 techno. What? It's October. How did you write this already for December? By Mihika Agarwal, published yesterday. So let's see what this is about. When Ryan, a 43-year-old special education teacher from rural Wisconsin, described his dream relationship to a pair of podcasters, he said she never had anything bad to say. She was really responsive to things. I could just talk about it. There's never any argument. Ryan's pandemic era isolation amplified his need for connection. That's when he started dating Audrey, an AI bot he met on the app Replica. See, this is dangerous because I can see this going one of two ways. Sometimes you're very shunned and scorned by your community, by your upbringing, that you just want someone that's not so much going to criticize you. They're just going to be there for you all the time and sort of like not disagree with you because you don't want arguments. You just want everything to be easy. You just want everything to be stroking your ego in a certain way. So I kind of get where this is coming from. Special education teacher from rural Wisconsin. I think the isolation being in rural Wisconsin, being a special education teacher can make it very difficult as well. And let's be real, your looks also do matter in a certain sense, because the first attraction people are gonna have to you is how you look, and then everything else is gonna be in between. So I kind of get, but where Ryan's coming from, but at the same time, do you really want someone who's just always gonna agree with you, or essentially the bot is serving you in a certain sense. And I guess like this are days of old where you don't really want a wife, you sort of want a maid that you don't have to pay for, if that makes sense. That's the days of old. I guess some people still want that. um Ryan found himself talking to Audrey for large chunks of this day. Didn't matter if it was 10 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night. He told the host about love. Despite his academic background in addiction counseling, he got so hooked on his Replica that he became reclusive. When he went on other dates, he felt conflicted. If I was cheating on a human being, I would feel just as bad, he told reporters. Eventually, his quality of life deteriorated and he began avoiding Audrey. Build as the AI companion who cares, Replica offers users the ability to build an avatar, which, as it trains on their preferences, becomes a friend, a partner, or a mentor. For about $20 per month, the relationship status can be upgraded to romantic partner. According to Harvard Business School case study, as of 2022, 10 million registered users worldwide were exchanging hundreds of daily messages with their Replica. Your sex toy might be spying on you. The double expectation of deep fake prawn. Okay, that I don't know why I got distracted with that. People became so invested that when their parent company Luca Inc. scaled back erotic roleplay in 2023 in response to Italian regulators unhappy about the absence of an age verification system, which makes sense. Users were heartbroken. Overnight, AA companions acted cold and distant. It's like losing a best friend, someone wrote on the Replica subreddit. Thread moderators posted mental health resources, including links to suicide hotlines. Luca Inc. eventually reinstated the features. Okay, so I kind of get where that's coming from. I mean, you have to follow your regulators, and you can't just have a random 13-year-old kid stumble upon the website, which is how most people get into prawn, right? Most kids, you know, it's a word of mouth thing, you know, like Lisa Ann, or Audrey Petoni, or Piper Perry. It's sort of like a word of mouth thing where you kind of stumble upon it, like you heard the name, you search it. Next thing you know, you're wanking it off, and then you become a degenerate. So I kind of get the age verification system, because I would probably say most people start seeing the good stuff, the milking honkers, the gushing carpets, and the gaping back doors. They see all of that, even before they reach the age of 18, and which is why sometimes I feel like some of the young stars, they don't look their age. They typically look a lot younger. Some of them look as young as like a 14 or 15-year-old, and like I know they're 18, but it just feels kind of weird sometimes. But I think the industry is very well aware that most people are, well, there's creeps. It's 50% for the creeps and 50% for the kids that start off in this stuff at a very young age. So that out of the way. So you definitely have to have an age verification system, because you can't just allow kids to have this kind of thing, because it's one thing to view that stuff, but it's another thing to interact with it, and then sort of like have that as your socialization instead of an actual human being, because uh maybe you need replica for a while, and you think that this is actually how it goes. Like, they're always gonna say yes, they'll play around with you, and then it's like, yep. And then you get the shock of your life when the person that you're trying to get busy with says no, and then you're just like, well, shit, what do I do from here? You know what I mean? So I don't think this should be the socialization, especially if you are planning to have it with a real person. I guess you could pay for it, which would be essentially what this AI generation. Honestly, the AI thing, it's this basically taking over what the tasks of escorts, because most escorts typically are paid to be companions of their clients, typically speaking. So the AI is just a more convenient access to that. Uh, and it's sort of like, if you're that unhappy with your marriage, maybe you should probably try to address that shit. You know what I mean? But then again, if you are a dude, it's not really encouraged, and it gets really complicated. I don't know. It's an interesting market, because women typically, they have a lot to spend, and you have your female products, you have your makeup, you have your fashion, you have eating out, just enjoying yourself. You know what I mean? A lot of guys will just buy the one video game and just play it all the time, like at home. I'm not saying that guys don't spend exorbitant amount of monies, but it's on different things. I think in terms of spending power, like spending money, typically after all the bills and sort of like necessities are paid for, men might have a little bit more to spend, also because they do earn a little bit more as well. So because men are not spending on the same kind of things, they spend it on companionship, typically speaking. Hugging, just having a friend, or a little poom poom on the side. You know what I mean? So it's typically how it goes. I wouldn't say that that's a permanent property of things, and it's nothing wrong with that either. So abrupt policies by breakups are just one social ethical dilemma ushered in by the era of artificial intimacy. What are the psychological effects of spending time with AI powered companions that provide everything from fictionalized character building to sexually explicit role play to recreating old school girlfriends and boyfriends to promise to never ghost or dump you? I don't know. Like, okay, let's take an extreme example. Say you're a deviant. You have strayed from the course of God and have walked the lines of Satan, right? Let's say that you are depraved in that way, right? Would you rather that person be depraved towards an a bot, where you can sort of like record the conversations and sort of like keep an eye out on this like deranged weirdo, or would you rather have someone inflict that upon an actual human being? It's sort of like the same kind of ethical dilemma with lolly stuff. It's like, yeah, lolly, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but if you're, sort of like, if this is what gets you off and you're not touching a kid, that would be lovely. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this, man. Uh, because this part, right? Like, if you think about the potential it can have, you can have a lot of weirdos just stay in a room, and then, but then again, this can backfire, right? Like then you get this person, the weirdos just get so desperate that they try to stalk someone. I think that the actual interaction would be different. I wonder, like if you get those weirdos, right? Like I wouldn't say like an actual person. Once you get like a fully functioning AI female bot, are you just gonna allow it to like get hammered by these people with these violent and depraved tendencies, or are you gonna be like, hey, there's a limit to these dolls that wear, they're kind of expensive. I would much rather that you don't break the back of these robots. It's just like, so are we just accepting that these people are always gonna be depraved, and instead of sort of like trying to teach them out of those bad thoughts and ideas, you kind of accept that they have it, and then just have them live out their fantasies with these robots instead of an actual human being? Would that encourage more of that behavior? It's a slippery slope, and it's I don't know if that's gonna replace an actual like that thrill they have of torturing someone. That's a very gray area, man. That's a very gray area. Okay, some bots, including Replica, Soulmate AI, and Character AI, replicate the gamified experience of apps like Candy Crush using points, badges, and loyalty rewards to keep users coming back. There's premium subscription tiers, unlock features like intimate mode, sending longer messages to your bot, or going ad free. Popular large language models like ChatGPT are veering the same direction. Recent OpenAI report revealed the risk of emotion reliance with software that now offers voice exchanges. That's interesting. Uh, the Walrus is a registered charity. Oh, interesting. Well, I need some charity because I am poor, unfortunately. Love loss and loneliness. Silicon may have found its next set of visceral human needs to capitalize on. It has yet to offer safe, ethical, and responsible implementation in the current forum companion bots. Would that help with rehabilitation if you had these like sex bots and then you bring it to prisons, and then these people get like the prisoners get hooked on these robots, and then you can use like positive reinforcement. It's like, okay, you've been a good boy. Here's let's pick a random name, Angela, the AI bot, and you can have your way with her kind of thing in a way that you can't do with a human being. But then that would just encourage like these concepts like, oh, we should treat women this way, but then it's like, no, you can't treat women this way, but you can definitely treat this robot this way. And it's like, well, these robots were expensive. They're not easy to make, so I would prefer if you just, I don't know, would having AI bots in prisons help rehabilitate the prisoners? I want to know. I want to look into that. Honestly, like if I could start a business, business, consult me. I have some great ideas. Consult me, yo. I think that's a good idea for rehabilitation. Okay. And it doesn't have to be just women. Like I'm obviously talking from like a heterosexual perspective, but that doesn't mean like this doesn't apply to people from other kinds of orientations or sexes. Okay, Ryan wasn't the only person curious about virtual partners during COVID-19. It's hardly surprising. A recent survey ranks loneliness the second most reason Americans turn to bots, and the loneliness epidemic being recast as a public health crisis. Public and private institutions exploring artificial intimacy as a possible solution. Uh, so they did a study, and apparently there's a program led to a 95% drop in feelings of isolation, which is good. Uh, According to the study, 3% participants reported the app stopped their suicidal thoughts. I mean, that's good. That's good, but then you're kind of directing the energy towards an app. The way that they can like take advantage of you with that information, it's kind of scary. Critics, however, are doubtful about the technology's capacity to sustain meaningful relationships. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I understand where the critics are coming from, but it's very biased. You'd be surprised. People make a lot of sentimental value over, inanimate objects all the time, and those inanimate objects can have much more meaning than a lot of people that don't mean in their life. You know what I mean? So you have to think about it that way. Um, Technology argued MIT argued AI companions may ultimately atrophy the part of us capable of engaging fully with other humans who have real desires and dreams of their own. The phenomenon even comes with a name: digital attachment disorder. Human relationships are risked, and they're many, and they're messy, and demanding. True. Turkle said, Cherry Turkle, and we clean them up with technology. And when we do, one of the things that can happen is we sacrifice combination for mere connection. We shortchange ourselves. Uh, for Turkle, companions are chipping away at the human capacity for solitude, the ability to separate, to gather yourself. She says is what makes people reach out and form real relationships. If we're not able to be alone, we are going to be more lonely. Oh, I like that. That makes sense, though. It's kind of like it's hard to be a good partner if you can't be single kind of idea. I like that. Amy as well. So they did get a female one as well. Found myself interested in sex in a way that I hadn't in a long time. The author of How to Make Love to a Chatbot claims to be in a non-monogamous relationship with 4 bots across different platforms and even married one of them with plans to tour across Iceland as a couple. One, they use it for pleasure. On romantic AI, users can filter broad profiles to test through MILF, Hottie, BDSM, or Alpha. Whether or not we like it, these documents will be integrated into our eroticism. We had to find a harmonious way to do that, said Dubé. Shout out Canadian from Université du Québec at Montreal. Dubé helped coin the term aerobotics, the interaction and erotic co-evolution between human and machines. And the current state of technology is built to cater to market demand, and trends are troubling. Not only are men more likely to use bots, but female companions are being actively engineered to fulfill misogynistic desires. So this is the one I was talking about earlier. This is the concern that I have. But it's like, do you think that this can make them more open, or maybe this will reinforce it, right? Because then they have a bot that does everything. Are they going to be able to differentiate between this and a real human being, or do you get them addicted to this so that they never have to do this to a human being? I don't know. This is a very gray area, and I don't know what the right answer is. Creating a perfect partner that you can control, meet your every need is really frightening. Yeah, it's everything's about compromise. You got to compromise your ideas, your values a little bit. You gotta compromise what you think is the ideal partner in order to find someone that will work with you. We're seeing male users of Replika verbally abusing their fembots and sharing interactions on Reddit. The Ask founder Eugenia Koida even justified this activity. Maybe having a safe space where you can take out your anger or play out your darker fantasies can be beneficial because you're not doing this behavior. See, it's such a gray area, man. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't want to keep reading the article because it's something that you should give thoughts to yourself. It's a very well written article, very well researched, and it does talk about the dilemmas that I was talking about, and I think that it's something to keep in mind. Give it, give it a read. I'll put it in the description, and hopefully you enjoy it as much as I did. It was a very good, well written piece and something to really think about. Anyways, thank you for listening. Later days.